I am super excited to be here today with some of my friends, people who I've known for a long time, like Saad Solomon, and my newer friends that I met last year at our DC hackathon that we hosted. We have Michael Woody and Coley Long. Coley LeVar Long. I noticed you use the whole name. So, really excited and happy to have you guys here with us today.
Thank you for having
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
This
Thank
is
you for
awesome.
having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy to be here.
I'm so fortunate, today, one, just to be surrounded by you handsome men. But beyond that, just the opportunity to have a conversation around reentry, specifically for men. And, what do I know about coming home and navigating reentry as a man. So, I have my friend Saad here to kind of help me out with that conversation. But I want to talk about that because, for women who are in prison, especially those of us who are mothers, one of the things that they always say is that women come home and one of the first things they want to do is reconnect to their children. And, there's some things that we say a little differently about men, when they come home. And so, want to get into that just a little bit and want you guys, as much as you're comfortable, being honest about some of the do's and don'ts associated with, kind of coming home and getting back on your feet. So, first,
Absolutely.
we'll take maybe just 30 seconds to a minute, have you guys introduce yourselves to everyone. Saad, we'll start with you. We'll come over to you, Coley, and then Michael, and then we'll dig in.
Great to be here. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, my name is Saad Solomon. I'm an entrepreneur. I served 15 years in prison and came home 32 years old. And I've now been home for about almost 14 years. So the process of growing has taught me that you're always growing, right? It's just a constantly moving road. So happy to be here and happy to have these conversations.
Great.
Yeah.
My name is Cody LeVar Long. I'm currently a program associate at Georgetown Prison Justice Initiative. I served over 26 years in prison. I've been home 18 months now, and the sky's the limit. That's all I can say about that one.
I like it. Sky's the limit.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Teresa. My name is Michael Woody. I served 25 years in prison. I'm self-employed. I'm an entrepreneur. I do a multitude of things at the moment. Right now, I'm trying to get my brand made, making a difference every day, gain some traction. And, the process of being released, been home 29 months after 25 years, it's been just that, a process. And just steady learning and growing and evolving.
Wonderful. So, one, I'm happy to hear that you are now moving into entrepreneurship. That's one of my areas. So I'm gonna, lean on me, reach out beyond this. We'll help you out with some stuff. Side also is a good resource around that as well.
Okay.
There's a community of folks. One thing I like about the reentry community, we help each other, right? Like if I know it, I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
Straight up because I want to see you successful. But let's just talk about reentry. And I think we all said it. It's a process. It's a journey. I've been home almost 13 years, I believe. I'm still coming home. I feel like this year I've set a goal for myself of this is the year where I want to finally come home. I want my reentry to be complete. And so I say that especially to you guys because you were in prison for such a long time. You guys went to prison as kids, quite frankly. I went to prison at 44. Big difference.
Yeah.
Right. And so I had a life, and for me, I knew I would be okay. If I could just get home, I'd be okay. I didn't know what it was going to look like.
Right.
And God knows, I didn't think it was going to be this hard.
Right.
So I'm glad to some degree I didn't know everything, about this process because it has been really challenging. But I think for those of us who come home and stay home is because we are committed
Definitely.
to not going back.
Agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. So talk about your reentry journey.
Yeah, so I went to prison, I was 17, right? I came home, I was 32 years old. I had never lived as an adult when I came home. So I immediately, and I came home to a huge protective factor where I came home to my ex-wife, and she and I had a place to live. And in hindsight, I would later understand how much of a blessing that was. I came home, I got a job really quickly. I worked at a pizza shop. and I worked at a payday loan company, and I worked at a church. I worked for about 140 hours that year, a week, and
3 jobs.
3 jobs, 2 full-time, 1 part-time, 140 hours a week, and I earned $24,000. So
For all of the jobs combined.
everything, total combined. And so that put me in a position where I quite literally recognized that I needed to do something different, and that put me into entrepreneurship as a necessity. It was an innovation out of necessity. Started a landscaping company that took off, did 2.7 million in the first 14 months. And
So from
so
27 or 24,000
24,000
to 2.7 million.
in 14 months.
All right. So you can teach us all a little something about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it was an incredibly different vertical than I've ever experienced, even since then. Right, like it's just every period of your reentry is marked by an event or a series of events, and it has its own personality. And so in that regard, I learned while I was building the ship. So it's been that. Moved into a very unique opportunity. This is what the youngins today would call my biggest flex. I was tapped by the United States Attorney's Office to become the first formerly incarcerated person ever hired by the United States Department of Justice in September of 2011. Yeah. That's what I'm telling you. Everybody says that's your biggest flex, OG. That's your biggest flex.
That's a flex for sure.
That's a flex. It's a flex. Now there are 74 directly impacted people in government, and I was the first. So happy to see. And that is just the tip of the iceberg on what reentry has been.
Wonderful. I feel like everybody's had a flex, since coming home. And so I know you talked about you had a job before you came home from prison.
Right.
Yeah, so you were flexing while you were in prison. So talk about the job opportunity that you had that was extended to you while you were in prison.
Yeah, Georgetown University, we had a prison scholars program where I first matriculated to Georgetown while I was incarcerated. And I gave myself wholeheartedly to that experience. And it translated to me actually being an employee at Georgetown University. And you spoke to something crucial about, my success has been intrinsically tied with having a community. Michael Woody, this is my comrade, he went home before me, and had people that went home before him, and then, like you said, I've never experienced a network of people, individual, formed collectively, with the endeavor just having the joy of seeing the next person succeed. Like guys that's formerly incarcerated, I didn't just met side, but I felt a real sense of joy of seeing somebody that walked that path that I walked. That they got, a millionaire. That's substantial. Just being in that present makes me happy. So the community is everything to my success of reentry.
And I noticed that he calls you Woody.
Yeah, so that's like
Yeah.
kind of like so that's kind of like my nickname.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, sometimes my whole name it became my nickname, right? So whichever one you can remember. But yeah, that it is important to have that supportive community, right? And I was fortunate before my release to have 4 people that wanted to hire me, right? Ultimately, I end up taking a job with the Department of Corrections, going back inside as a program analyst. For a program that I started as, which was a mentor program, mentoring the 18 to 25 age demographic. Both Coley and I were a part of the Young Men Emerging inside of DC jail. And so because that's something that I had started and initiated before my release, the executive staff hired me less than 3 weeks after I was released to go back inside to continue the program. And when you really look at just real quick, the connections, and the importance of that space and how it contributes to the larger public safety factor in the community, it was important to make sure that program was cemented, and with the help of so many great men that I had a chance to work alongside, who was mentoring alongside with me to handle them young guys, but. So that was my initial employment. And to walk straight into employment like that does a lot for the individual. It increases the chances of success of a successful reintegration when it does so much for the psyche. As you heard Coley say, matriculation through Georgetown program landed him the position that he had. When you think about knowing that you walking straight into something, that helps the psyche of the individual. It helps the confidence. Like you already know, okay, financially I'm good, and then you be able to you work on other things, right?
Or even good enough, because even though Saad was only making 24,000 after working 140 hours,
140.
it was $24,000 more than nothing.
Absolutely. Wasn't 36 cents an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to commend Saul too, because that you shattered you shattered a stereotype. Position yourself to be offered that position does so much in shattering the typical stereotype that people have in mind as it relates to individuals when they're returning back into the community. What are they, what are they going to do, and how are they able to contribute? So I think that's a
huge.
big.
And it's like we carry that responsibility. While we were inside, there was something that we used to always say. It's like an inmate got to ruin it for all inmates. Always an inmate, right? Yeah. So when we come out here and we're given these opportunities, you're not just going to take the opportunity for yourself.
Right.
You quite literally are taking into account every single life, person, comrade that's going to come behind you. That you're going to open a door, pave a way, inspire, and provide that agency to, because we don't often have that out here.
Exactly.
I often talk about people, and you see guys and ladies that went to colleges and they pledged a fraternity. Our fraternity is quite literally this life experience.
Exactly.
And so it's not taken ever with just, it's a blessing, yay. No, it's a blessing, but it comes with a significant responsibility.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I just, I want to move on, but I also want to say that, Saad has experienced, tremendous success, and it's really easy to double click on the 2.7 million. It's deserving of double clicking, but the reality is you were offered a position to go back in to the same place that was holding you. To be a mentor because of something good you were doing while you were there.
Absolutely.
And you were given a job by Georgetown University. People would love to go to Georgetown University. They would love to work there. And you were doing that. So, I don't want you to take light your experiences and what you guys have done. But I want to move to something a little bit softer for just a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about relationships. You notice who laughed first, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about relationships just a little bit. For me, we talk about reentry being a journey. I haven't really overly dated since coming home because I was aware enough to know that I was on a journey. I knew who I was before I went to prison. I knew who I was when I came home, and I knew where I was trying to go. And I felt like I would be doing both myself and someone else a disservice by entering into a relationship with someone early on in that journey who really might not want the person I was going to become. And quite frankly, maybe couldn't handle the person I was going to become is really what I was thinking, if I'm honest about it. So let's talk about that. Have you guys dated since you've come home?
Yeah, we want to start.
Get at it, buddy.
Nah, I chime in. I started off. Yes, of course, right to that. That's part of what we yearn for. When you've been deprived of just basic human needs of being able to commune, especially with a female companion, right? And so I think like for me personally, I didn't jump straight into anything serious because I understood that I guess I felt that I needed time and space really. And I think one of the things what I mean is that one of the things that I noticed that I think is a trauma for me, right? micromanaging, right? Our autonomy has been taken for so long. Any subtle way of trying to control, I feel it. And we know that sometimes,
You're like, text me. How come you haven't text me? That's controlling you.
I mean, that it can show, right? But it can show up in varying ways.
Right.
But I kind of pace myself. I think I can pat myself on the back. Because I know some good men, some comrades of mine who got straight to it, and they got some newborns like they. But that's the happy side of the freedom being restored is enjoying life and taking advantage of that second chance. But yeah, I just paced it myself. I didn't walk into anything very serious. I had to really space myself.
Do you feel like you're ready now?
Yep. I have acquaintances, right? I have acquaintances, but like I said, it was nothing serious.
This is being recorded, brother.
Yeah.
He said this is being recorded.
Yeah.
Maybe an acquaintance, not acquaintances. Anyway.
Thanks for that correction.
How about you, Coley? Being recorded, right?
Yeah, it's being recorded. Dating is complex, honestly, because a lot of us, we like a kid in the candy store, but we didn't have a lot of experiences, so sometimes you can get caught up in the mindset of trying to catch up, and then, this era of women now is different from how it was in the 60s. They're very liberated.
In the 60s? Come on now, were you dating in the 60s? Were you even born in the 60s?
My essence was, but
you understand that school of
that school of thought, even in the 90s, I got locked up in 95, 96. So the women now, very progressive, so it takes a bit. No, because the women now are like the guys, when we was coming up, we had to have rap games. We call it booking a girl. Now they book you, and so it's kind of takes them, very aggressive.
But we'll have to come back and really dig in on that a little bit more. So, Saad, relationships.
Relationships mirror your own growth and development.
Very good answer. So,
period. Sometimes you feel like life is fantastic and you're running full speed, and then bam, you can just get clobbered. So
are we still talking about relationships?
We are indeed. What I've discovered was I came home to a marriage. I came home to an all-out marriage. My ex-wife had served 9 years with me on the remaining end of my sentence, so I came home to honor that commitment that she showed me. I rocked in. But behind it was a lack of trust in myself. Mm-hmm. Meaning, and I'm sure y'all can relate to this, right? That idea, because I was a knucklehead, because I was always making poor decisions, because I was always the live wire, I need her to keep me grounded, to keep me focused. So she represented, as a part of my freedom, a very part and parcel part of my reentry, which is what happens in relationships, right? We're looking for that anchor, somebody that we can ground ourselves to and build something together with. But then you're not happy, right? You realize that, yes, you may have all of these bases covered here, but there's a deficit here, or there's something that's lacking here.
Or you learn to trust yourself.
And then you learn to trust yourself, and situations change, you evolve, and sometimes you grow out of relationships, right? So for me, the journey of relationships mirrors the development of the man or of the self.
These are really good answers. We'll definitely feel like there's more to unpack here.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it all right here.
Certainly.
We're going to come back because this is obviously a good conversation. And I know I've been around, have coached a lot of women and men. And relationships I find to be more complicated for the men coming home. And it's just kind of interesting. I can think of some other guys I want to bring around this table, where we can really dig in and provide some good insight. But when I was in prison, one of the things that I wanted more than anything was just to come home and sit on my sofa, have control of the remote, and not have to talk to nobody about what I was going to watch, and just watch television, just relax. It's still one of the things I really enjoy doing. Just would like for you guys to tell me like one thing, that you thought about, wish you could have done, just as, something that's simple that a lot of people would take for granted, that you enjoy doing today.
Mine's is simple. Just sitting my butt in the tub. I hate showers. I mean, showers convenient because, like, for 26 years, I had to share, sometimes you had to share a shower with dudes. That was your own. I mean, I was so, like, deprived. I used to get a mop bucket and just sit in the mop bucket sometimes, just to feel submerged. So, like, I love just sitting in the tub.
I can't even get a visual of that. I'm like, a mop bucket.
Yes, yeah.
But, being in prison, what we do know is mop buckets serve lots of purposes. Absolutely. I've had pedicures out of them.
It's everything. Yeah.
I was like, again, we'll have to like talk about all of the varied uses of, tools and so forth. But, so sitting in a tub is one of your life simplicities.
Pleasures, yes.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I was still giving that some thought. I would say, I'm an outdoor person, right? So the difference from, of course, is a big difference of breathing free air than walking a concrete compound tucked away in the mountains of some state. I would say, still being able to get out and take walks and to be able to like really smell flowers. Because being on those most federal compounds, it's just grass, and you only can see trees from a distance. You can't touch leaves, like you can't get up on it. You can't really smell that smell. So I think just the basics of taking simple walks, being surrounded in nature, that does it for me. Like that's how I get back in sync, with my biological field. I ain't gonna go too deep, but yeah, just being surrounded by nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sad.
I like to venture so far offshore that your entire 360-degree view is water, only water. Out there in the ocean, sitting on a boat, fishing, relaxing, thinking about how amazing freedom is because there's not a single fence, cyclone wire, nothing. It's just absolute freedom. That is liberating to me, and that reminds me of the gift that is my freedom every day.
So it's fishing, sitting on a sofa, watching TV with a remote, taking a bath, not in a mop bucket, and just taking a walk. Just simple things.
Simple things
that we kind of yearn for, or we appreciate it, or have learned to really appreciate since coming home.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to end here, and really thankful to you guys for sharing information, and again, just giving hope to people who are in prison about what's to come.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.